Welcome back, guys. It's Aiden with Upper James Toyota, and today I'm going to be comparing two very similar models, one being a Toyota, one being a Lexus. So same basic company, just two different kinds of models we're going to be comparing. So to the right of me, we've got a 2020 RX 350 versus a 2021 Highlander XSE. So this one's going to come with 2 extra seats versus a 5-seater. We're going to take a closer look, see which one's better for you and your family. Before we continue, please be sure to subscribe so you do not miss any more of our future Toyota related content, and let's get into the video. So we're going to start with the 2021 Highlander XSE. Now this being an XSE, it does look a little bit different versus a regular Highlander. I like the front ends of an XSE a little bit better. Now some of the things to note that are a bit different, your grille is a little bit different, especially the one on the bottom here. And closer to looking on the bumper, you will see in the bottom corners, you will be getting fog lights, which I did mention in a previous video on a Corolla, how I like that, giving any person driving the vehicle more visibility in the nighttime and more of a sportier, stylish look. So I am very much so in favor of an XSE looking Highlander. Moving on to the side of the vehicle, onto a Highlander. Obviously it varies per trim level. However, on this package, you'll be getting 20-inch alloy wheels, which are gonna be color matched in kind of a silver and a black color scheme, which I think look really great, especially on a color that you don't see a whole lot of, which is going to be this color, which is Ruby Flare Pearl, or a red. It is a color option from the factory of $255, plus obviously tax on that. However, I like this color combo. I like the tint on the vehicle, the black mirror caps, the black roof rails mixed in with the black rims. I think it makes the vehicle look very well rounded as a whole. All right, now taking a look onto the rear of the Highlander. A couple things to note from the factory, you can get this installed, which is a trailer hitch. So if you're gonna be towing anything, any boats, any small utility trailers, this could be a very great, genuine Toyota accessory to add on to any Highlander that you are getting. Now, I like the looks of the Highlander very much so. I think it's one of our better looking vehicles in our lineup, especially being this trim package, being an XSE. I like the sportier look. I like having captain's chairs in the second row, which we'll be taking a closer look at in 2 seconds. Now, opening up the rear of the Highlander, we'll let this open in a couple seconds here. Now, if you guys watched our previous videos, I actually did a comparison versus a Highlander and a Grand Highlander, and the one thing that I noted was that the regular Highlander's trunk opened up very slowly, which it did just now. I like how on the new models we're coming out with, Toyota is making very small improvements to obviously catering more of a consumer and a more consumer friendly access to different things in the vehicle. So with this being opened, you will be seeing all the seats are fully folded down in the third row, because the Highlander versus the RX we're comparing today, that is going to be a 5-seater. So we're just kind of comparing the two of them together. However, you can flip those up and have access to 3 more seats in the rear. Now I'm hoping those are smaller children, because if you've ever been in the rear third row of a Highlander, it is very tight. All right, so now taking a closer look onto the front end of the 2020 RX 350. Now you will note this is the old body style versus the new ones on the market. However, I've seen both in person. I do like the new 2024s. However, I'm still a fan of this 2020. It definitely still looks a little bit more updated than the previous outgoing model year and the old variant of the RX. I love the front end of the RXs. I think that the front end styling is very great. They've done a very good job of keeping it very clean, but also keeping it looking very updated. Now, one thing I do note versus the regular Highlander is that the headlights are more centered into the middle of the bumper on an RX. So if you're looking for more visibility off the front end, more centered directly in front of you, maybe the RX could be a vehicle that you could be choosing between. However, you do not get fog lights on this package. I'm sure you probably could on an RX. However, on this one, you do not. So that might be something if you're looking about front end visibility. Now, looking onto the side of the RX 350, one big thing to note as well, you have smaller wheels on this versus the Highlander. So on this one, you are getting a brushed silver and a dark gunmetal silver alloy 18-inch wheel. This vehicle being all-wheel drive, it looks great. It's gonna drive great, keep you and your family very, very safe. But that's just one big difference for me, wheels and the front end and what is offered between these two vehicles. Now taking a look onto the rear end of the RX 350. Now, we don't have a third row in this vehicle. You could get an RX 350L, however, this is not the L model, this is just the regular RX 350. So when you open it up, again, they need to increase the speed on how fast these trunks open. However, looking into it, it's very, very similar, almost the configuration to like a RAV or a Venza. But if you're gonna be looking at a RAV, that's more NX, like I mentioned in the early stages of this video. But looking at the rear, you have a lot of space, just like the Highlander. So those are the seats down. Space-wise is very, very comparable. The one big thing I will say, looking at a Lexus versus a Toyota, they're still, the same company. We all get the same parts from the same manufacturers. However, the one big thing is Lexus does feel a little bit more premium. So when we get into the inside, just after this is done, you will see a couple things. The feeling of the leather, the finishes on the interior are a little bit different. However, if you are looking for a 5-seater and that's all you really need with ample cargo space, an RX 350 could definitely be a good choice for you and your family. All right, now taking a step into the Highlander. I'm gonna turn down the AC down here because it's a little humid today. However, these packages are very, very comparable. A couple things to note that the RX will maybe have a slight edge on. Both of them be coming with leather seats, which are heated in this package. A lot of great things from the factory you'll be getting on the inside of this. So a sunroof, heated steering wheel, a lot of storage compartments on a Highlander too, which I like. I think it's an interesting little feature they've added, integrated into the dash for any phones, keys, stuff like that. And another couple of cool things too, they have done inside the storage compartments. On the center one in the middle of the vehicle as well, they have a little cord outlet. So you can actually theoretically open up one of the USB ports, plug your USB cable into there, and then bring it all the way up through one of the storage compartments, alleviating any loose cords down the center, which will obviously interfere with anything you're putting in the cup holders or storage down below. However, this vehicle will be coming standard also with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, which is going to be wired for this model year. On our newer ones is going to be wireless, but this is still using our old screens, which are going to be wired. However, if you're someone that's a bit bigger, honestly, this vehicle is feeling very, very spacious. Now, you could take it one step further and go to the Grand if you want a little bit more space. However, for any small families or someone that's at least looking for the optional third row seating, this could definitely be a package for you. The vehicle doesn't feel maybe as large as other vehicles could feel as a 7 or an 8 passenger. However, something at this size doesn't make you feel like you're driving a big boat around. So it makes you and whoever's in the vehicle feeling very, very safe. Into the rear seats of the Highlander. I'm sitting in the middle row right now, and on an XSE, that's one big difference versus the RX is that the RX will come with a third seat in the middle here. You'd have to be using the rear 3 to obviously fit any more than 4 people in this vehicle. Being in the back here and not having a bench and having captain's chairs, I'm a huge fan of that. Any small families with smaller kids, it's very, very easy for them just to crawl through and get to the third row, or simply moving one of these seats forward, which is very easy to do so. If you are situated in this row right now, you get a couple charging ports down here. You have your own climate control settings back here for your rear passengers as well. Cup holders, obviously there's nothing that folds down, so you have them integrated into the floorboard, which is removable, just so you know. And you do have a couple cup holders on both of the doors. So anyone in the back or even the third row, there's a lot of space and storage for you guys to be carrying anything on any long trips or just day-to-day commuting around town seeing family. Onto the RX interior. Now, one big thing I will say, the quality of a Lexus and the leathers that they use are very, very nice. Typical Toyotas will use something called Softex, so it's kind of like a fake leather. It's a leather equivalent, I could say. Some vehicles like a Highlander, if you upgrade to a Platinum, will come with genuine leather seats. However, being a vehicle that they do offer those right off the bat, you can definitely feel a difference. It's a lot more soft and it's definitely a bit more comfortable sitting in the seat. Different things to note that are a bit different between the two of them. Lexus staple, they always have a clock for some reason on the dash. So it's one thing that you'll be seeing on these RX that is here right now. Cooled seats is also a great feature on this one too, which I'm a huge fan of. Obviously, It's gonna basically keep you a bit cooler in the summer times and when your vehicle has been sitting for a while. Two big things that I actually really do like too, you're gonna be having memory seats built into this RX package, as well as power and foldable mirrors. So I think that's a really big bonus perk on any kind of vehicle, because what that's gonna do is once you're parking in a smaller parking spot, or just when your vehicle is locked, your mirrors will actually fold in for you. So I think that's a really, really great feature for any vehicle to have, which I'm very in favor of Lexus for. Now, a couple things also that are a bit different on the inside. Obviously the steering wheel, paddle shifters, you do not get that on a Highlander. One thing too is moving the actual steering wheel of the vehicle. It's a little knob on the side here, so you can push it further towards you, down, and then up. On a Highlander, there's a latch that you will actually pull down, and then you can manually adjust it this way. But I like this more premium feel on a Lexus that you do not get on an XSE package on a Highlander. Now, rear seat of the RX. A couple things definitely to note. You will be getting obviously center mounted, a nice little couple cup holders here, and a little storage compartment, which is nice. It's also a very, very common thing with Lexus. Most of our Toyotas unfortunately do not have that, but I do wish that's actually something that they offered, which kind of declutters anything in the second row of your vehicle. However, with that being said, yeah, it's very, very comfortable back here. There's no sloped roof, so I have all the headspace in the world, which I'm a huge fan of if I'm ever gonna be sitting in the rear of one of these vehicles. A couple things to note versus the Highlander, a couple differences that I will say from the get-go. You actually do get 2 USB ports. You obviously can charge your phones, anything in the back here. Another great thing, which I love on any vehicle, is you get heated rear seats, which is a small little luxury, but obviously makes such a difference come the winter time, or someone with a sore back, anything like that. It definitely caters to having different people in your rear seat of your RX. Storage space and storage compartments behind the seats, and the way that the seats are actually sloped. I think they've done a very, very good job at obviously making sure not only the front passengers are comfortable, but the rear passengers as well. The one big thing that I've always talked about, and I'm a huge fan of, is going to be a full panoramic moonroof. Now, I know both these vehicles only have a front sunroof. However, you can spec both of these vehicles with a full moonroof, and I do think it's one thing that I would always tell someone if you're hoping to open up the interior of a vehicle. It's one thing that I'd always mention someone, and it's a good upgrade to potentially do, just to kind of make the interior of the vehicle feel that much bigger when you're in the rear seats. Now, let's talk about fuel efficiency between these two vehicles. So both of them being all-wheel drive, automatic gearboxes. Highlanders will be coming in at about 10.2 liters per 100 kilometers. So a vehicle holding up to 7 passengers, that is very, very good fuel efficiency. Versus the RX, you're gonna average about 12.2. So it's gonna be about 2 liters more, and you're gonna be getting a bit less space if you're gonna be using obviously the third row in a Highlander. So it's up to you guys to decide which one's better for you. Obviously there are some pushes and pulls, cons and pros to both. You guys can let me know down below which one is more worth it on the fuel efficiency side. Now, talking MSRP between these two vehicles when they were brand new, there's a very, very big difference there. The Highlander as a 21 XSE, it comes in at $46,750. You gotta add obviously your dealer charges, freight and PDI, options and fees, and your licensing, versus the RX, which would come in at about $56,050, added all those additional options and taxes that I mentioned before. So obviously there is some very big difference price-wise, fuel efficiency-wise, but also a few differences onto the inside of both vehicles, so you guys can let me know which one would obviously be catered better for you. Now, if you are enjoying these videos, please remember to subscribe so you no longer miss any more of our Toyota related content, and we'll see you guys in the next video.